Okay, so now we're back and okay, so anyhow, so now you're retired from the mission field.
1 year,
1 year.
and I don't feel too bad because I can't go. My very last trip was a challenge, running through the airports, catching the right flight, making sure that if the terminal changed suddenly, that I didn't miss my plane, and I was overtired too much. And it was getting there, and it would take, it was a 4-hour flight, but it would take 8 or 9 hours to get back because of layovers. And
So it was getting too much for you.
yeah,
You wouldn't ask people, the airlines would get a wheelchair.
well, that sometimes you'd have trouble with that. Nobody would
Oh.
come, and your
Oh, really?
flight
Hmm.
would be, your plane would be in another terminal, and you'd be back there in the terminal that you landed. And even though it's the same, I used Delta, but it was the same place in the terminal, but it was far away. Nobody would come then. But there's a rule that you cannot leave a handicapped person behind on the airlines.
Oh, that's good to know.
So our seats were empty, and somebody showed up, and on the last flight I took, and rushed us to the flight and down the gangway to the plane. And when we the motors, the plane motor was running already, and everything was almost dark in the cabin. And when we clicked our seatbelts in, they slammed the door and we took off. So, and we had to run, and running was hard for Ray.
Yes.
Very hard, and I could not do that to him anymore. Plus, I was carrying bags, and there was a guy helping. But
Look how strong you are today.
well, I don't know that I'm strong or not,
I think
unless
so.
somebody tells me.
Well, I've known you a long time, Miss Aida. You don't
Yeah.
seem any. You've slowed down a little bit, but not much. I've known you.
Well,
how long?
I have a
20 years?
scooter now.
Yeah, you have a scooter. Thank God for scooters.
Yeah, it's downstairs, locked up.
But anyhow, so okay. Well, so now you miss it. I'm sure you miss doing missions work.
No, I miss the people.
You miss the people,
Because
of course.
they didn't tell us in mission school that now you're going to go out there and you're going to find, just, get involved in other people's lives. And then now in the States, you can always go back and see them or call by phone.
Right.
But in the mission field, it's different. I do not call anybody anymore. I see some pictures on Facebook, and I miss everybody. And I wish I could just, I could get an international card, but you get 10 minutes on that. What can you do with that?
Right.
So my contact moved here to do some work in the United States to get her citizenship, but she's been here a few years, and now she's going back. So that will be the last visit I will have from anybody in the mission field. But I have said to myself, I will see them in heaven.
Yes, that's right. I will tell you that's how I feel too. My being here in the States and That's what I do, is I always miss the people. Because it's always, the missions work is always about the people.
And you could really do that work if you started at 20. You wouldn't finish it if you stayed there when you were 80. It's always there.
It's always there.
I tried to get my children interested, but they weren't interested.
So now that you've retired from the mission field, you've started a new life, and
I really am enjoying where I am. I found a place that agrees with me, and I can take it easy, and I like taking it easy. It's comfortable now. That's where I am, and I'm happy.
You're happy. I can tell.
And I'm growing in the Lord, so that's another challenge. I have new challenges, because when you know the Lord, you're always in new challenges.
Right.
New challenges in faith, and those are real challenges. So you're not really growing old, you're just getting better and better.
Right. If you had an opportunity to do another short-term missions trip and God impressed you to do it, do you think you could do it? Do you think your new husband would release you to do that? You're still pretty strong.
Yeah, I would do it.
I could see you doing it.
I could do that. They didn't think that I should retire anyway. They thought I had plenty of time, but you know, it's not true. It's more than physical challenges. You have to be emotionally ready for a new thing to pop up, because if you get too many of those, you could fall into a little anxiety, because you're not sure, you're out there alone, and you have to be able to emotionally handle anything that comes your way, and that was getting harder and harder. But the Lord, on the last 3 or 4 trips, I learned some things about faith that I didn't know before, that got me over that hump.
Well, that's true. Traveling like that is it's a journey. You've been on a big journey, a long journey, and
you know, people,
the faithfulness of God. Let me ask you this: what was the greatest accomplishment that you think you were able to do on the mission field? What sticks out in your mind? Your greatest accomplishment, and how do you feel about that?
I made some breakthroughs in relationships in the beginning that wasn't being accepted, but I made some breakthroughs, big breakthroughs there.
In your personal life?
No, with the people.
With the people.
Even though I knew all the customs and I could speak Spanish, you're still a stranger that's come from another country. So they have to decide whether to accept you. Some people are accepting and other people aren't. So,
but don't you think being able to speak Spanish made you more acceptable to the people? Made you more relatable? That's a wonderful thing.
Yes. And so I was totally accepted by the time I left. And boy, that's something that I haven't yet accomplished in the United States. There's no place that I can go where I'm totally accepted. Even here, where I live, there are
But you
still
felt more-
people.
But you felt more accepted in the other countries you went to.
Yes, they're simple people, and Americans are complicated people.
You know, I think you're very right. You're even helping me as you're talking because, you know, I have to say I feel more accepted in Africa being married to an African.
Yeah,
That makes that, I may not be able to speak the language, but so yes,
everyone, they have neighborhoods there, which we don't have here. Now they have that in New York City, but in that whole block where you're living,
yes,
or block and a half, everybody knows everybody. They know that there's an American that has visited someone 5 doors down, and when you come out, they start visiting. And everybody visits each other in the whole block. Nobody is a stranger. But we don't do that in the United States, in the city that I live in Oklahoma. They may do it in a small town, very, very small town. That's what I liked the best.
yes.
That I was accepted, and
Right.
they didn't have the high expectations that Americans put on other people.
Well, I have to say, you're one of the few missionaries that I find that are satisfied being back in the States and not doing missions any longer, or at least it appears. But, you know, that's a good thing. So how do you think it was easy for you to accept not doing missions work any longer, being retired from that? How did you manage that?
There are some opportunities in my church, but I'm reluctant to look into it because I'm not sure that I would have to make a commitment. It's the commitment part. I'm not sure that I would want to commit myself to the church that I've always been accustomed to going, because I'm older and I just want to stop committing. I'm tired of committing.
That's okay. There is nothing wrong with that.
They will not accept me unless I commit.
I'm the same way. If I'm not committed,
I'm not going to do it.
yes.
And when I had remarried, there were 4 good friends that did not come because they were committed to do something for the church. And I know they're not like that. They would have come.
Right.
But they told me they had committed. We have a program where 5 times a year we go out and do community work in this city. And I can do that work, but I don't want to make the commitment.
So it's good to find a short-term something short-term to do.
Well, I've tried that and it doesn't work.
Yes.
So I'm not committed to anything, but I've witnessed right here where I am,
And where are you?
I'm in a senior citizens independent living community here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, And every time I meet someone, if they're a friendly person, I try to witness to them and see where they are with the Lord. Although I don't push or proselytize anybody here, but there are lots of Christians in this community, and they love to talk about the Lord.
Well, as a retired missionary, you look like you're doing really well, and you're just doing really well. And
Well, I always do feel a little bit guilty that I'm not actively committed to something. So that is the part that I haven't resolved.
okay,
And I just don't know what to do about it.
okay,
But I know that guilt is from the devil.
of course.
So I remember that. I address that enemy as often as he tries to come in.
Well, that's a good thing that you're bringing up. That I think a lot of people feel guilt over different things, like after a parent finishes raising their children, or maybe you finish the work, the day of work, and go home and what else could I have done, or what could I have done better, or what could I be doing better. I think everyone has those feelings of guilt for something, and what you said is very correct. You just have to remind yourself that who you are in Christ.
That's right.
I'm glad you're saying that, though. I think sometimes just saying it helps. I feel guilty about this, and I think sometimes just saying it makes you feel better.
Well, I think if the Lord knows that you're willing, and He will present an opportunity, in a clear way, that you'll do that.
I think.
But He hasn't presented anything to me. So it's not like if He wants me to do this, then He'll tell me. Not that type of attitude. But I'm always open and tell Him that whatever He wants me to do, I'll do. But witnessing to people right now is the biggest thing that I can do. And I am...
well, I think that's very important, witnessing.
Well, our pastor has a prayer group, and this upcoming election, I would like to go to that. It's a voluntary thing, so I don't feel like I have to commit. But as often as I can, I would like to pray for the next election.
Yes.
It's very important
It is.
for us to get the president we have now in. So I would like to, and it's that in 2020. So I would like to get in one of those sessions and commit to that.
I
But
think
not,
that sounds
if
like
I can't make it because of the weather or I didn't feel good, I do have off days, then it's not a firm commitment.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, and she's a very good prayer leader.
Oh yes, Pastor Sharon's awesome. Okay, well, I think we're finished. We went over the 30 minutes, but that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Reiner. Bye-bye.